Hello, I'm Justin the Wizard, a National Board Certified Health and Wellness Coach. And today, Elena and I are hosting Dani Maldonado, a friend of ours that we're very excited to introduce to our audience. And before we do that, I'm going to go ahead and run the normal format, um, unlike the live that we did a few weeks ago. We're just going to do mindfulness first, then the reading, and then we'll get into the episode content today. As I do the mindfulness, keep in mind that this is a very personal experience for everybody. And if anyone needs to disengage and resume the video after we're done with this, we always understand. Um, Mindfulness can be a very personal experience. And so please engage at your own level of comfort. Now, as the three of us here today convene in the north, it's spring into summer. Temperatures are warming, light levels are increasing. Some people thrive in the warm weather. Others need to hide from the light. However you feel this season as it rises, we hope that you feel the feral power of our virtual magical marketplace. Welcome to the Fairly Magical Podcast. Again, I'm Justin the Wizard, and uh, Dani, if you'd like to introduce yourself first, and then we'll have Elena.
Hi. Yeah, thanks for having me, Justin and Elena. I'm Dani Maldonado. Happy to be here.
Awesome. And I'm Elena Lunt. I'm your chaos coordinator here on the Fairly Magical podcast. And today I have brought for you a tarot deck. I've got the Joie de Vivre tarot by Paulina Cassidy. Um, this artist unfortunately has like fallen off the face of the earth recently. So we will still give you a link to this tarot deck. This is the link through the producer, I guess, the publisher of the tarot. But the illustrations are really, really cool. And we got the back of the cards. We're going to shuffle with intention, asking the cards to sort of guide our conversation today. And see what they're going to give us. Baby, we got. Ooh, we have the Knight of Wands. If I can get him to show up here, the Knight of Wands, a funky little alligator kind of dude. So the Knight of Wands is daring and bold. It comes with a lot of adventure, new experiences. It's really exciting. Knight of Wands. What do we have next? The King of Swords. The King of Swords is this dapper little cat. Look at his little hat. Oh, I love him.
That's a pretty
Okay,
card.
so the King of Swords. It is pretty. So pretty. The King of Swords gives us thoughtfulness, invention, creativity, and sort of blossoming ideas. Blossoming ideas. King of Swords. What do we have? Ooh, love it. The Devil. So the Devil, our wicked little puppeteer here, the Devil is materialism, um, playfulness, and sort of um, all the earthly pleasures. You can think of the devil as sort of Dionysus
Hedonism.
likes, yeah, hedonism, likes the stuff. I love that. Okay, I love the devil. Okay, this is a really cool reading, actually, putting these together, where we have adventure, creative thought, and sort of playfulness and earthly delights. I uh, I kind of love that. Yeah, that's super cool. I like it. I like it. And I feel like that ties in nicely with what we were kind of discussing
Yeah.
before we started recording here with our um, sort of creative marketing experiences. Uh, so, Dani and I both have a marketing background, and we've had the opportunity to market a lot of weird and wild and wonderful things
Fun stuff.
that may appeal to our devil here. Um, yeah, so it has been an adventure of creative thought. Do you want to start us off and tell us about some of your creative thought process, maybe when marketing the weird and wonderful?
Well, um, so like currently and previously, marketing in the cannabis industry requires a lot of creative thought. Obviously, you've got to know all your
That's
laws and regulations and things of that nature. But like you can't really like run a Facebook ad. You just
right.
can't. So you got to be a little bit more
Nope.
creative about it. I'm working right now with a local dispensary, helping with marketing, but I'm also working in the shop and in the grow, learning a whole lot. Um, and right now we're working on, or I should say I'm working on the summer promotional stuff, which is going to be all community based. So I've reached out to some local small businesses to see if they'd be interested in like a receipt exchange program. Like, hey, spend so much at the dispensary, uh, go over to the pizza place, get a slice of pizza for free with purchase. And vice versa. Spend like 25. We're calling it the Munchie Map.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
there's really just like it's a small town here, right? So like
Mhm.
the vibe, especially considered where like I come from, there's more people in Orlando than there is in the entire state of Maine. So like being a Floridian raised person, everything's a small town here, right? So like there's not a lot to do here. So I'm implementing as a part of marketing this product, community outreach. So at the shop, there's not a tip jar, there's a karma jar. That's money that's going to go back into the community, food shelters, backpack drives, that kind of stuff. Because cannabis sells itself. And how do you
Right. The
compete
people
with
who want to buy cannabis are
how,
going to buy
yeah, right.
cannabis
And how do you
regardless.
compete in an area where I will be truthful and honest? Cannabis shops here are like Starbucks. There's one on every corner.
Here
Literally.
too. Yeah.
Literally, there's two within walking distance of my house. One of them I work at.
I'd be
So
lying if I
like,
said it wasn't like that here also. I don't have any in walking distance that I know of, but they're certainly around. Like
yeah,
uh, for context for those listening, I'm in the Portland, Oregon area. Danny's in the Portland, Maine
Maine area. Yeah.
area, and Elena is in what, Winnipeg area.
Yeah, yeah, in Winnipeg, Canada. Um, so
So that's the
yeah,
context that we're
all
all in.
places where it's been legal for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah, at least
Yeah. It's a
legal
it's
in the states
recreational and
that
medical
we're in.
here. And
Hmm.
um, obviously there's still amounts and things of that nature that you can't carry a certain amount or have a certain amount. You can't sell a
Right.
certain
Yeah.
amount, that stuff.
Right.
But
Yeah.
like bygones be bygones. It sells itself. So yeah, working on a community outreach program. The cool thing is that there's uh, a giant field that the company owns, and we're planning on doing like movie nights. Like, I'm looking into the legalities of like what will be needed for adult movie nights where they do have the option to partake. Um,
Okay.
but again, it sells itself. But where they have the option to partake on adult movie nights where they're family friendly, obviously that won't be the case on family friendly nights.
Right.
But like it's again, small town, not a lot to do. So just a movie night in a big old field park area that we have, or like karaoke nights, things like that, just things that bring people together regardless, because it sells itself. Um,
Yeah.
and
At one
that's
point, I was
the
actually a
social media strategy actually is the community because you can't post
Yes.
about the product, you know? So how do you stay visible with a company that sells a product that you can't talk about on the internet?
community,
Right.
You find your workarounds.
and no, so I was about to say, I pre recreational legalization in Oregon. For a period of time, I was a medical uh, a medical recipient of this stuff, and it was helping me to manage nausea, stuff like that, associated with a chronic condition. And one of the things that I remember, again, pre-recreational legalization was like almost like a bar, kind of like going to a bar where um, it was like you couldn't, there was no purchasing at all. You could like tip, and there was like a lot of stuff around language,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
that's what I was thinking about when you said like
I remember those days.
the legalities of like going to a field and allowing adult use. I feel like you might have to invoke some of those older lessons learned from the times before the before times, so to speak.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Before it was on every corner, you might still need to learn from those older
Oh
experiences.
yeah, for sure. That's like I said, with these kind of things, you move slowly, right? Like the
Yeah.
best advice is like that tortoise and hare story, right? You always want to be the tortoise. Slow and steady is going to win that race. You don't want to move too
Yeah.
quickly.
Take your baby steps.
I'm working for a store that's in the process of making the jump to do recreational on top of medicinal. And so actually I just got all of the like the city ordinances and all the laws and the nerdy books and all the fun things.
Mm.
'Cause like we went to a town meeting, um, and it seems as though the town might misunderstand the document. So we're actually getting a workshop hosted with the city and everything involved to like work out the details of it. So
Mhm.
I'm tasked with reading some legal documentation tonight after the podcast.
Oh, great. That's always fun. Yeah, I mean, with an industry like that, like there's so many little details that you have to be aware of in
Have to
terms
be.
of the legalese, and then in order to be an expert in the field, there's so much science behind it. Like you mentioned that you're getting to
Oh,
visit
I'm
the
learning so
the
much.
growing location
I'm
and
working in the garden every time the way that because it's very small operation.
mm,
Whenever I work in the shop, I work in the grow as well. So like it's like a
okay.
start at one, close that off, move over to the other. Which is great because they're both very centrally located to where I live. Love it. Um,
Bonus.
yeah. And so I'm getting a lot of experience in the grow, and then in my downtime at the shop, I'm watching like a ton of video content on like what to do in the grow, pH levels, things like that. Like, I'm calling
Yeah.
the owner being like, so like water temperature. Have we like thought about that kind of stuff? Like, and I'm about to get ready to start my first harvest. Like things are just about ready to harvest. So that's exciting. Doing a lot of
That is
I was trimming
exciting.
for I was trimming for 4 hours last night. I got
Oh,
home and I was like, my back hurts. I spent 4 hours trimming trees.
sounds like a young person's game, but
Yeah,
good for
yeah,
you.
I just look like a young person. I'm not, I'm old as shit. But yeah, the
But I
marketing
can relate. I
side,
think we're the same age.
yeah,
We're
I
all
think
about the
so.
same
We're
age.
very close.
I think we're all the same
Um,
age. Yeah.
the marketing side of things, like just changing things up. Like we discussed having a loyalty program implemented into the store that actually started today. So
Mhm.
like customers now will get points for coming and shopping with us. I'm doing a bring a friend program. Yeah, lots of bundle
Yeah.
deals. So I get to be very creative. My boss is fantastic. I should say boss, but like it's more like a client. I am a
Great.
1099. It is kind of freelance.
Yeah.
Um, I get to be very creative with it. So I have implemented a pre-roll of the month. So
Yeah. Yeah.
for the month of June, the pre-roll is called Zaddy. It's very pride, right? But the
Good.
strains are BBC and Granddaddy Purple, so it made sense to call it Zaddy.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
That
that's
works.
every month we'll have like a specific blend with a new name because it's, a specific blend.
Yeah.
That way I
Yep.
can showcase like, hey, look, these are actually doing well. The FOMO of it. It's a limited
Yes.
pre-roll, you know?
Yep.
So you get creative with that, and then a lot of word of mouth. Lots of word of mouth.
Hmm. Yep.
That's
I know. I mean, just thinking about like my favorite shops around here. Yeah, the loyalty program is definitely part of it. Just the vibe in general. It's
mm-hmm.
like, there's a shop that's closest to me, but the vibe is not it. I go further away to go to the one where the people are super friendly, super
Yep.
helpful, so non judgmental if you don't know anything when you walk in, and they're pet friendly. I'm allowed to bring my dog.
Mm-hmm. We're pet friendly as long as your pet's friendly. I even have like
Yay!
biscuits down in the back that I can use. They're not THC
Oh,
biscuits, they're regular doggy biscuits.
no, no, they would not
Um,
be.
yeah, we're not trying to give anybody's puppy a buzz.
No,
But
no.
no, today I sold the full amount that you can to one customer, solely because it was somebody that was visiting, had their correct credentials, and they grew up 20 minutes away from where I grew up. And they pulled
Oh,
out their
Amazing.
ID
wild.
and
Small
I
world.
was like, "Oh, small world. That's fantastic." I was like, "Well, come
Yeah,
on
see, and then,
down." I was like that
yeah,
guy
and
on The
then
Wizard of
making
Oz,
that
like should have started
connection.
singing Horse of a Different Color. I was like, "Come on in."
Yeah, I'm
You
sure
got to
that
treat everybody like
would help the
family.
sales too.
I know that sounds really cliche, but you get to treat everybody like family, like I have older individuals that come in and it's very non-judgmental. I'm like, "Hey, how are you doing today?" I get to ask like, do you know what you're looking for? Anything in particular? Kind of get a feel. Because
Yeah,
the
yeah,
ones that have never utilized before and they just got their credentials, like they'll tell you very quickly. And so we're also doing very beginner friendly information, just
that's
available in
good.
store.
Yeah.
Everything is kind of color coded, like this is more indica, it's going to be more blue in
Mm,
color, more sativa, it's going to be more red in color. If it's a hybrid, it's got that ombre.
yeah.
Um, lots of lots of information so that if they are new, I'm like, oh, okay, hey, here's a house blend. I would recommend
Mhm.
trying it right before bed. Like see
Yeah.
what it does for you before you go about your real life.
Yes. And giving the correct information in a situation like that is so important
Dosage.
because I have to say, oh my God, my mother went to a dispensary. This was, I don't know, 1 or 2 years ago.
I've got
Went
a
to a
funny story about that
dispensary
with mine.
looking
Go
for
ahead.
just something calming. Like basically she's looking for CBD. Like she's not even looking for THC,
She needs
anything.
like a lavender
Um,
pen. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. And she's like, she goes in, she's like, I know nothing. I've never done anything. I want something to keep me like calm, like from social anxiety. I don't want to be like loopy. I don't want to be high. I don't want to be anything. I'm like, oh, okay. And then they sold her this tincture, like a put it under your tongue. And the next day she's like, do you want this? She comes to me, she's like, do you want this? I didn't like it. I did not like the way I felt on this. They said it was going to help me be calm. And I look at the bottle and I'm like, this is like, there's a lot of THC in this. Like, this is
They
not
gave her like an
what you asked
RSO
for.
type deal. They gave her something that was like super high dosage, right? Like, because that's what, as soon as
Yeah.
you said tincture, I was like, oh God, that's not
Yeah.
what
And I was
mom
like,
needs to start with. Mom needs like a crumb of a freaking brownie. That's it.
yeah. Yeah. Mom needed like a 2 milligram CBD gummy. Um, yeah. And this
She
is
needed one
what
gummy
she was
bear.
given. And then, yeah, it was passed along to me, which, and then I was like, okay, I want to find
Could have
out, like,
passed
what
off a
is
Benadryl and
this?
told her it was the same thing. She
Yeah,
probably would have believed
yeah,
you.
yeah. And I did try it out myself, and sure enough, that is not what she wanted. So yeah, being knowledgeable is very, very
Yeah.
important. Tell me
I
your
remember
mom's
when it
story.
It got legalized in Florida for medical use years ago, and like how Justin was saying, where like you, because I remember going with my mom because I could go and help her pick up because I was one of her caregivers, to pick
The
up, but
rules were
like you could
interesting.
only like you, it's like a doctor's office basically. It's like getting it at a pharmacy. There is no buying, and it wasn't. It was when it was like vape pens basically back in that time. You could get a vape pen. Well, they didn't really give her any information on the first time that she got it. And I guess she just assumed that it was like the old school stuff that she had tried in the 70s and 80s. And it wasn't.
The big
So she
pens are,
smoked a couple of hits off of it.
yeah.
And then she kept a couple more because she's thinking it's like a regular old school joint. So she took about 10 or 12 hits. Mm-hmm.
No,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you see where this is
no.
going. Mama was flying.
Um,
It just made her giggly and more talkative, but like she was the type
Yeah.
of woman that would tell you the same story 15,000 times over. Like we always heard the same stories. So it was just the highlight reel of her favorite old stories. And I'm just sitting there like, she's telling this like every story is brand new and I've never heard it before. She got really
enhanced.
hungry and she fell asleep, of course. But like it was
Yeah.
just to see your parent that way, you're like, oh, okay.
It's kind of cute, but it's not
Let's
cute.
get you to bed,
Yeah.
Grandma.
Yeah.
Because she's a grandmother at this point. I'm looking at her like,
Yeah.
oh gosh, let's get you to bed.
Oh no. Yeah, yeah, and those kinds of instructions are then
Yeah,
very
those kind of
important as well.
instructions. Very important. So yeah, I am working on, just more educational stuff, and then we're doing bundles that I'm working on. So like, we've got the Eda bundle. I can't even say it right. It's just like here's a bunch of different edibles that you can try, and they're priced out at like a bundle and save deal. where you basically
Oh,
customers are
fun.
saving anywhere between $10 to $15 per bundle to get different things. I've got a movie night bundle. I was gonna call it date night, but then I was like, I don't want to make people think that I'm pushing like being in a relationship in order to, or even dating, just to get this bundle. So I called it movie night.
Right, yeah.
It's like
Buddy night.
some edible trail mix. I think like a chocolate bar or two, maybe it's just one chocolate bar. Um, and then two of the THC infused drinks. So it's like you get a
Okay.
little snacky snack,
Yeah,
candy,
that'll get
and
you pretty far.
drinks, and it's for a movie night. And like, yeah, sure, you might not consume all of that in one movie night if you're not the type of person, but like the drinks are 5 milligrams, right? So like the drinks are fine, for even your typical non-user. It's a very, very, very light amount because if you're drinking it like a regular drink, it's just gonna feel like a little same as like a if you were have a low level alcoholic beverage. Just a little
Maybe. I don't know.
um
Maybe
Might
it's
last in your
because I'm
system a
small,
longer.
but
yeah, it'll last in your system a little
yeah.
longer, but yeah, 5 milligrams is a very, very small milligram. Um and
Okay.
you're also the drinks are like double the size of this can. So you think about it, it's you drink it
Mm-hmm.
over time,
A little watered
very
down. Yeah.
very
Yeah.
low dosage. Um and then the chocolate bars, you kind of split that with a friend or not for the movie night. You could take one. Depends on what your level is at. If you're not somebody then that does that, has ever done that, I wouldn't recommend it. But
Right.
that's why we also have things like a starter bundle, which is like, hey, here's some
Yeah.
I think it's a an ounce of flour, a pipe, and a rolling tray all bundled together for a discounted price.
Oh, that's
Um,
cute.
but then that also comes with like the, hey, I recommend try one hit at a time. See what it does for you.
Yeah.
It's a starter
Yeah.
bundle for that reason.
Yes. Low
Um,
and slow.
yeah. Um, it's not like we learned back in the 90s. At least not how I learned back in the 90s. Ironically enough, out of a Mountain Dew can.
I was gonna say Coke can, Apple.
I mean, it says American Dew right now because it's
What?
productized for 4th of July, I'm sure.
Oh,
At least I
okay.
freaking hope so. I
Wild.
hope we're not calling everything American now, like the Gulf of America.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
mountains don't exist
Freedom
here, right?
fries.
It's just because I can't keep
I
up with
remember the
changes
Freedom
like
Fries
that,
thing.
right? Like I can't keep up with changes like Freedom Fries or American Dew or whatever's in the plus.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
I don't
I love
know. It
everybody, but
makes
there's too much
my
in the
head
plus.
hurt.
Okay. I got the LGBTQIA. I don't know what all of the pluses are, but I am not, you
There's
know,
no need to memorize all the pluses for
I
me.
can't. I can't. Or the flags. We've got so many flags these days.
There's like 50 flags,
I don't
y'all.
want to sound like a boomer, but I
We
thought the
actually
rainbow
did
flag
make a
covered it
video.
all.
We did make a video to
Yeah,
cover some of the
we did a
big,
video.
like, queer labels in the acronym. So we at least did that on this channel. That's something that, is out there for.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I'm a big advocate for the entire queer community. My best friend is trans, and I was there with her for her experiences. I saw a lot firsthand. I was her shoulder for a lot of that. So I like very like protect the dolls. That's me.
Yes.
Um, and so
Gary Gabies.
I obviously fall under bi, even though most people would be like, "Oh, he's gayer than a $3 bill." Yes, girl. But I also can get girls, or did at one time. And now I just choose not to. I gave it up for Lent, and I'm not sure if it's 40 days or 40 years, so I'm just trying, you
There
know.
you go.
Um,
I understand.
I
It all
love the
counts,
lesbies.
right?
I love the lesbies because I don't know how to
Yeah.
do tile work.
Yeah,
I can't drive a U-Haul.
sometimes we all.
But my my give a toot on the lesbian
Did you
conch.
fall?
They
My camera fell.
Your camera fell. Okay.
My camera fell.
I was like, are you
I
okay?
think I fixed it. I'm gone.
But yeah, no, I
No,
love the
I'm here.
community. I love the community. Sometimes
Yeah.
they just don't get my humor because I'm very old school. Like the comment about the flags. Like I thought the rainbow
The
flag
flag.
covered
I
it. I know somebody's gonna be like,
gotta.
swim.
I know. Gotta source these flags because my children are requesting to have gender fluid flags to wave for the Pride Festival next week, and I'm
Oh,
like,
but that's cute
okay, but that's
though.
not. And I and it's cute and it represents them, and I'm very proud of them, but it's a difficult flag to find. It's not one of the
It's
common
very
ones.
niche.
So I don't know where I'm gonna source these flags, y'all.
It's very niche,
But
very niche.
what's
I'm
the
on the hunt.
pattern on? Is there a difficult pattern on the gender fluid one?
Now I gotta see
It's
what it looks
it's
like.
um it's kind of like the bi flag, like pink, purple, blue, but it's also got a black and a white stripe in there. Um, and I can't remember the exact order
Oh,
of them
okay, so
right
it's like a
now
light
because
pink, white, purplish pink, black, blue.
that's the one.
It's pretty.
That's the one. It's very pretty.
It
I
might be
love it.
easier
And
to
I'm
to
like,
make than
yeah,
source.
that's probably what I'm gonna end up doing.
That's
I'm
hard to
gonna
see on
end
my
up
phone.
making them
I'm just gonna.
little paper flags. Um, but yeah, I mean the flags, I understand the attachment to the flag because truly, when I really reflect on myself, I am pansexual. But being bisexual has been part of my identity for so long since I was, 15 years old. I have it tattooed on my arm and it's a pretty flag and I like it better. So I'm just going to continue putting myself out there as a bisexual individual. Um, and that's my choice.
So the flag meaning is
It's
kind
two
of
or
cool.
more. Bisexual is just two or more.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. It's yeah. Attraction to more
Yes.
than one gender.
So
And
the
I can vibe with that.
the gender fluid flag looks like was designed in 2012 and has the five horizontal stripes, but the colors all stand for something different. So the first pink stands for femininity, white stands for all genders, purple is a combination of masculinity and femininity, black is the absence of gender, and blue is masculinity.
See, that's perfect. And that's my kids.
It works. It
I like
works.
it.
Yeah. All
And
and nothing at once.
you
Yeah,
know,
like I said, I don't know all of them, but I respect them. And somebody could just come in with a flag that's not even
Mm-hmm.
made and be like, this means this, and I'll go, okay, great. Because the
Yeah,
flag doesn't
great.
hurt
But if
anybody,
it means that to
typically.
that person, then sure.
No, because fabric can't really hurt you.
Right.
and a note on, we've got it's this episode's going to drop as it's turning into Pride Month. We're recording about a week before that, so I'm looking at
Yeah.
the date right now. It's the end of May, but I'm cognizant that this episode's going to be dropping at the beginning of June. So
Yes, it is.
the Pride Month's important, and
Absolutely.
the other 11 months are important to be prideful during as well, is
Oh,
all I
yeah,
really wanted to say. So, uh, if there is a community that can use some, I'll say marketing because that's kind of the theme of the day, right? It's it's the queer community broadly that
for
can
sure.
use the collective efforts of those within it who are willing to spread positive messages about how we are really a community of care for each other.
For
Couldn't put
sure.
it better
Yeah.
myself.
And such a beautiful community. Um, I've I've seen such wonderful things coming out of our local queer community and the way that people support each other. Um, it's so nice. I love it.
I was quite impressed with the level of queer community here in small town Maine. or just Maine in general. Like
Yeah, Maine. Maine
it's
is
it's
good.
very progressive. Like
Yep.
I go on trips with Josh, I hold his hand, nobody bugs me. I'm like, I'm still like, I still have that like internalized phobia, if you will, I guess you can say, like that trained behavior of like, we'll hold hands, and after like so long, like I'm trying to let go, and he's like, it's fine. It's fine. And I'm like, okay. Because like I'm used to
Floridobia.
like,
Yeah, okay,
I'm
Florida.
listen, I'm not from postcard Florida. I'm from meth head Florida.
I
There's a
get it.
difference.
I know the differences.
Yeah, redneck Florida. Like I go like down the street and people are screaming. I think that was
Yeah, yeah.
I think that was censored enough. Use your imagination.
Yes. Beepity beeps.
I didn't make
Yeah,
out
this is why
anything.
I'm afraid of Florida, though.
It's not all that bad. I don't know. I've been to like Vegas, New York, like big
I've been to those
cities, and like
places.
Florida's the butt of a lot of jokes in pop culture, but it isn't all
Florida.
bad.
Florida trained me to be a person that like always watches my six. You know what I'm saying? Like Florida trains, like living there trains you to have a heightened sense of knowing, like your surroundings,
Right,
the way that the room feels, like, because it is one of those places where like so many people frequent in and out for vacation, and we can go into
hmm
grave details about the history of Florida and all the like the war on drugs and all that fun stuff, because it's closer to Cuba and all that fun stuff. Like Google,
right.
use your Googles. Things move in and out of Florida, we'll just put it that way.
Yeah. Yeah, well, and
um
say hello to a little movie called Scarface, and you know the pop cultural harm done to like Cubanos, really, I think,
Palm
V,
Beach, Florida. Enough
yeah,
said.
yeah, exactly. It's like it's just kind of a cultural harm done to a community that, for the most part, is not that, right? Is not like trafficking
Right,
cocaine or anything like that.
No,
Um,
most people in Florida are nice people.
exactly. And uh, the association with like Latin America and hard drugs, I think, is vastly um, overrepresented in the media.
Hmm.
yeah,
And
exaggerated.
For
because, yeah,
sure.
having been in areas where those communities reside, I just do not see that problem in those like pop cultural representative ways. Don't know about
Yeah.
you guys, but that's how I feel.
No. I mean, I've never really divulged too deeply into that kind of lifestyle when down there, so I don't really know too much about it, obviously. Being in Florida, you hear things, but um, firsthand knowledge, no. No. But yeah, it's like growing up somewhere like Florida does kind of like prepare you for a lot of things that I think people in small towns don't really have to think about.
Right, for sure.
Like for instance, when I went to Vegas with my partner and his parents, excuse me, the Mountain Dew was getting ready to kick in, so I muted for a second there. We went, and there was somebody that, like, in my opinion, was definitely ODing on fentanyl, and like not a great thing, but
Um,
somebody else had already made a phone call, right? But
okay.
like his poor mother went to go walk up and grab this person to like chuck them, and I grabbed her and was like, "No, no, 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 mama. We're not doing that." I was like, "Because you'll be right there on the ground with him." Because I was raised, you don't touch people like that. You don't know what's on them. It could also affect
Yeah,
you. You get them help, but
yeah,
you leave that to the trained professionals, because you just
yeah,
never know, especially with things like, you know, fentanyl. That's one touch and you're gone. So like you have to think about those
Yeah,
things when you
it's so
grow up in a big,
scary.
big city. Where I think in more smaller towns, maybe not so much these days, um, but like back when we were like kids, for
Hmm.
sure, we didn't think about that if you were in a small town. You didn't have to.
No, 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 not at all.
So, yeah. And I think that kind of plays into your marketing senses too. Like you can read people very, very
Right?
well. I could read people through text and be like, "Oh, okay, you use this word instead of this word." I feel like I'm hyper attuned to that kind of thing. Like I can after I know you for a while, like you've been commenting or we've been DMing and things of that nature. And I could do that on client accounts too. And have in the
Mhm.
past where I just intuitively know, okay, this user likes this and oh, they seem a little bit more upset or they seem a little bit more excited because of this language or this language. Because you can kind of sense that. I don't know if you can sense
Right.
that across the screen, but I can.
Yeah, no,
You get what I'm talking
definitely.
about, right? Like you can feel it.
Yeah,
And I don't
yeah.
think that's something that can be taught in a marketing class.
No, that's something that has to be learned through lived experience,
Yeah, you've got to learn that in the
and
field.
intuition.
Yeah, you got to
Yeah,
learn it in the field. You got to trust your gut. You got to learn it by trial and error.
I've
yeah.
fallen into
And I
friendships
mean,
with a lot of marketers. Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say that so much of marketing is psychology.
Yeah. And a lot of what I learned in the field was actually in the gaming industry, for that part of it, like the sensing, the intuitiveness of like what is somebody writing, what are they actually saying, reading between the lines, what are the words they're not willing to write because it's a public forum. Um, that was in a Sims group that I built from the ground up when The Sims 4 was about to come out. So that would have been 2014, 12 years ago. Probably about this time of
Mhm.
year, 12 years ago. It grew to like 80,000 members and it turned into a little bit of a drama fest at first that required me to like figure out like how do I control a crowd of fucking people that are like, I'm mad that they
Yeah.
said this. I'm mad that they said that. And like mad at me because I wasn't keeping up with the approvals fast enough for
Mhm.
posts because like I knew being the internet that the internet was a dirty and gross place. So I set things up for post approvals and I'm so glad I did because like why does people want to put things with horses X rated in a group meant for a game rated E for everyone when Facebook allows people 13 years of age or older to be on the platform. So obviously I had approvals for that reason, but you can't explain that to Susan in Wisconsin who's like, "Nobody's seen my Sims picture. What the fuck is wrong with you?" And I'm like, "I have a life and kids and a
I have
job."
one person.
One person. I did eventually get a bunch of people that were in that group together over time, like the core users, I guess you could say, like in the very beginning
Mhm.
that I like identified was like, okay, this person's always online, this person's always commenting, this person seems helpful. Let me reach out to them. Be like, do you want to help me moderate? Um,
Yeah.
I guess like 6 months to a year in, we had like a fully fleshed out system, built a website that was pulling in like petty change off of advertisements, but it was pulling in decent money just off of advertisements. And it was like, hey, we're talking about a video game. A video
Yeah.
game. Um, it's where I got my proof of concept to get into freelancing, community management, social media marketing. Use that to get my
Mhm.
first big paying client, which just opened the door. Here we are 12 years later,
Yeah.
It's
still doing it.
Yeah.
Um,
That's a sign that something's working.
Something's working. I mean, and listen, I like that I consider
Yeah.
myself small potatoes still. Like, I like that I make decent money, but I'm not like, oh my God, that's Danny. Like, I know that I will be ready for it when it happens, but at the same time, I also know that I am a little bit of a see you next Tuesday if I feel like, oh shit, my bubble. Like, excuse me, personal. That's none of your business. Like, I could handle celebrity, if you will. Um, but I might handle it a bit like Chapel Roan. A bit like, please understand and respect my privacy.
Yeah. And
Because, like,
that's
you
a
know,
valid way to handle it.
parasocial relationships, that's a fucking can of worms. And that happens now. I have people that like scroll into my DMs on Facebook and they're like, "Hey, handsome, how are you?" And it's like, I don't fuck you know you from a hole in the wall, sir. Could you
Mhm.
not? Could you not?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
thank God I have a
Yeah.
relationship where my partner feels secure in our okay, like, and he like knows because like I'll tell him too. I'm like, oh, I had another weirdo pop up in my message requests. Do I make hext?
Next.
Are
Do I
hexed.
make do I make this one
Hex them.
content or not? Um, it's my newest favoriteest thing is pissing off men on the internet.
Mm.
Not all men.
It's just so easy.
Not all men.
Yeah, those
The weak
You
men.
know,
ones.
No,
not
those
all
men.
men.
Right.
Mhm.
But those ones.
Um,
Those
Listen,
ones.
if the shoe fits, lace that bitch up and buy it in every color, honey.
Exactly.
I
The blue
I
ones match your
identify about
eyes.
as much with men as Gandalf or Radagast do. Like they talk about men like this. Men,
Listen,
those
I
men.
both love and hate men, but I can also say I both love and hate women too. Like I love and hate people.
Believe that about you,
People.
Danny. I believe that.
People are both wonderful and egregiously disgusting all in one. And I think only those that fully understand that like all humans are capable of that
Mhm.
get it. Get the marketing of things too. Like I learned in the coaching industry, like that fear-based marketing, like hit on their pain points and stuff like that. But like you could spin that around if you understand the pain point. You can make it softer if you understand that.
Yeah.
I coach. I actually use an analogy of like magnetic attraction versus repulsion.
Right.
Something that's like if it's attracting things, it's all congregating at a single point. It's becoming stronger. And if it's repulsing things, things are going away. It's getting weaker. Like it gets less dense when you repel.
Mm-hmm.
So if you try to
Mm-hmm.
use a repulsive force, don't be like that repulsive thing. It ultimately is like a dispersion of focus rather than like go to this target. It attracts the energy, it focuses it, and it makes it, flow.
Yeah, and like so one of the things that like I like to do instead of the fear-based stuff is like the benefit-based stuff, right? Like talking about the benefits of something.
Yes. Right.
Mostly because like I'm the kind of person that if you are actually hitting that pain point, I don't want to fucking listen to you. How dare you be right? How dare you see me?
The
You,
more
sir, have
times you
lost a
go
Harry.
again,
sale.
no.
You
You,
can't
sir,
tell
have
me what
lost
to
a sale.
do.
Good day. Seriously
Yeah.
though, like,
Yeah.
and I know that there's people that think that way too. Like, I'm not the only person that's like, I've seen this before. You're gonna tell me that it's gonna save me so much time because you know that my time is valuable. I'm just using like some random example right now at the top of my head or
Right.
pulling it out from the derriere, if you will. Happy Pride Month. Um,
Yes. God, I love you.
I love you
Um,
too.
yes, yes, but I hate the fear-based marketing. I hate the,
Yeah, tell me
um,
some benefits and be real
you
about it.
know,
And you can hit it of like, look, I
yeah,
know that
not,
you could be like, look, I know your time's valuable and like you don't feel like you have enough. That's all you gotta say. You don't have to drown it out like fucking Anne Rice.
yeah, yeah, and don't need to go into like these are the top three mistakes that you're making, and don't fall into
hmm
this. And
When did
it's
when
like,
did when did
no,
peddling a
you just lost
course
me on
turn
con.
into like the fucking recipe blog, you know? When did peddling a course turn into the recipe blog? Why do I have to read your sales page that's literally like as long as the fucking Bible?
Yeah,
I just
scroll,
want
scroll,
I
scroll.
just want your $27 ebook. That's all.
Yeah,
You don't
I
want to
feel
see
yeah,
like I've
you
read
talk
half of
about
the book in
scrumptious
your
cookies
sales
for three
page.
paragraphs.
Yeah, right. And I feel
I
like I've
want
taught
the
I feel like
recipe.
I've read
yeah,
half of the book's length in a sales page.
yeah. That was completely unnecessary
It was
because you went
unnecessary.
there to get the book
Lots
anyways.
of flashy, lots of flashy. I clicked on the link.
Yeah, I
Let it do
wanted it
its thing
already.
from there. You got
Yeah.
me to that's the hardest part in my opinion, getting them to click over. Once you get them to click over, like
Oh,
what?
yes. Yeah.
What's Amazon
Make it
got once you've
easy.
clicked the link? It's like buy now on the right side of the page,
Right, it's
picture of the
there.
thing.
Yeah.
It's there, right? It's
It's
top,
there.
top of the page.
Yeah.
Top of
And
the page.
like,
It's right there. I just
yeah,
don't understand why in 2026, in the good Lord's 2026, we're still doing Bible length sales pages. For what?
Yeah.
Bro, I read your three
No.
paragraph ad. I want your fucking
Yeah.
book.
Once you've got
I
the
want your
interest,
fucking
you make it as
course.
simple as possible.
I want your
Fewest
course. If you
clicks.
want to give me a little
Like,
sales video afterwards to sell me the upsell, by all means, like let's
put
move
your SEO
into
paragraph down the page.
2026.
yeah.
Let's move into
Yeah.
2026. Nobody's got the fucking mental capacity for that. I read your little
No.
ad. I clicked on it. I want to buy the book. From there, give me a little video to sell me the course. Make it less than a minute.
Yeah.
I'm a kid in a fucking candy shop with ADHD. You're not going to keep my
Yeah.
attention or get my credit card anymore. But then make it just easy, like, oh, add to cart, add to cart. And now I've spent $1,000 and I'm happy about it. And it took me all of
Yep.
5 minutes.
Yep. Quick, simple, like
Call me if you need
fewest
help with your
clicks.
ads and your sales pages.
No, seriously, like anybody watching this that needs marketing professionals, like hire one of these two. Maybe talk to Nathan
If you
Doobie,
want
who we
somebody
had on
that's
the
going to
show a while
tell
ago.
you the
Right.
truth, hire one of these two. Because my favorite thing to do is like tell a client, yeah, I understand that ChatGPT told you that. But ChatGPT is a fucking idiot and it's stealing water resources from the earth.
Yeah.
And I wish you would just come
ChatGPT
to me
doesn't know
instead
shit.
because I can Google. And like sometimes I will use an AI system to help a little bit here and there. But I understand that it's a fucking idiot that wants to, give me an answer like a sixth grader trying to get an A on its term paper.
And it wants to always tell you that you're right. No matter what you plug
Yes.
into it, it wants to tell you that you are so special and so
Oh
smart,
God, the narcissistic love
and
bombing.
it's pandering.
Like I've seen this film before. His name was Corey.
I don't have enough context to laugh very hard at that, but I get the context. Well, this has certainly been a treat, and I don't know if we have much else to talk about. Either of you want to squeeze any last minute topics in here?
Lower gas prices. I'm not built for OnlyFans.
Correct.
I mean,
Correct.
I once got asked if my back hurts from carrying around this juicy ass, and I said no. I got 3 legs to hold it up.
Good answer. Good answer.
Oh, it was pretty
Be
crappy.
on the
We broke
lookout,
Justin.
be on the lookout for OnlyFans content this winter. Or if the oil prices stay this way. It's gonna be
So I'm
cold.
glad I
Florida boy's gonna be freezing in this winter if those prices keep going up. Because diesel is a good indication of what heating oil costs, by the way, for those of you that like are not aware of what
right,
that's
yeah,
like.
that's right. Yeah.
So like look at your diesel prices and then think of your northern friends.
Yeah. Propane heating and stuff like that. Yeah.
Diesel's a good
My
indication
family.
of what those are gonna cost per gallon.
The less refined petroleum products. LNG, liquid natural gas. You've been hearing about that on the news. That's also an indicator for that set of products.
Hmm
Oh
hmm
boy.
Yeah.
Oh
I'm looking into getting
boy.
pellet stoves, I think they are. Couple of them installed.
Yeah,
They're
those are
super easy
common
for
up
me
in
and
Maine, I
Josh to
think.
kind of, yeah, like you can get them at Home Depot. They have like a
Yeah.
window set up where you just like put it right out the window for the exhaust or whatever. The way that my house is set up, because it was built in 1904. Yeah, she's an old bitch. You can set it up to where you even got like the legal limit of like space around it that's required for safety.
Yeah.
So we're thinking about getting those because pellets are way less expensive.
Your
Uh,
arthritic now house needs its pills.
yeah, yeah, we're thinking about switching over to pellet because I mean, even that's going to be expensive for the winter, but it'll be less expensive than the oil. So we'll see.
Yeah.
Fingers crossed.
Wow.
We're saving for that already. Just putting money aside for the oil cost, and then they're coming to clean out my tanks in August. So once they do that, then I'll fill them up and they'll be ready to go. We only use it for heat. I don't have to use it for like water heating or anything like that.
Okay.
And then we'll just play the game of like, we're keeping this off as long as possible, like we do. We're
Wear a
not
sweater.
using, yeah, put that sweater on that you wanted to wear all freaking winter or all summer. My kids, I love them to death, but like, they want to wear a hoodie in the summer and then they don't want to wear it in the fall or the winter. And I'm like, what is, I'm built different. I'm built different. And I'm like, built stupid isn't different. That's actually 98% of the fucking population, my guy. And I didn't raise you to be this way. Um,
That's painfully relatable.
right?
As someone who also has children.
I love my kids, but
Yeah.
like when they
My
leave, I'm like,
11-year-old
please act
sent me
like
a
you have
meme the
home
other day.
training.
Yeah, my 11-year-old sent me a meme the other day that was like, I'll do a lot of things, but admit that I'm cold when my mom told me to wear a jacket is not one of them.
Accurate.
It's a
Accurate.
story.
Very, very accurate. Yeah, mine all finally have cell phones now. I finally pulled the plug. My two younger ones have a cell phone now. And we also got a house phone, a corded wall
Oh,
phone, a 90s phone
old
for whenever they
school.
get for whenever
The
they
one that
get
you can,
grounded. Because I find that, especially the older teenager, very effective parenting tool to take the cell phones away, right?
Oh, yes.
Um, but then I was like, now you won't have a way of getting a hold of me if I take your phone away. Darn it.
Right. Yeah.
So we got a wall phone. It's literally like corded and everything. You ain't going more than 2 feet away from it. Welcome to my world when I was your age.
Right.
Enjoy. No
Yeah.
yeah,
Snapchat on this.
I remember they used to sell like the like the 20-foot coil
Cords.
cables that
Yeah.
Yeah.
people would have so they could walk around their kitchens
Do you
still tethered
remember
to the wall.
do you remember like the
Yeah.
see-through colored phones and shit?
I had the one. I had
Which color? The purple?
purple.
Me too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Me
The
too.
purple,
I
like
I had the
probably
deep.
had
purple
a
one.
clear one.
Yeah, the purple. And then I also had the white Furby because the white Furby was my favorite.
I remember there being a lot of stuff
Nice.
like Mickey Mouse phones and clocks and stuff around my house.
Yes.
That was
Oh,
neat.
yeah. Like,
They
yeah.
don't make them
Garfield
like they
phones.
used to.
They sure
I think I
don't.
have a Garfield phone still.
It's probably worth
Doesn't
some
work
money.
on Mondays if you do plug it in.
My God. Could you imagine?
A
And on
phone that
that
just
note,
doesn't work.
On that
On
note,
that note, yeah.
this
No,
was
so
fun.
I think we did have some fun today, and it's quite the adventure of creativity, and a bit of hedonistic indulgence in some of these uh,
The devil's
edge
lettuce.
topics for our, for the channels that we, tend to put out. This is a little bit on the edge of our normal content portfolio, but thank you for being here for it, Dani.
Yeah, absolutely. I had a blast. Elena picked the card, so sorry. She picked the devil's lettuce
so
card.
fun, but I sure did. I mean, I say this every time. The cards, no. They
The
always
cards,
know
no.
what we want to talk about, where we want to go, and they just give it to us.
Well, it's been a blast.
True.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks so
Thank you
much.
for being here.
Of course. Bye-bye.
So again, this is the Fairly Magical Podcast. I'm Justin the Wizard. That was Elena Lunt and Dani Maldonado. Thank you, everybody. Bye.
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 Oh, Elena, we almost forgot you have a sign off that we haven't done
Oh,
yet.
I have to sign off. I'm Elena Lunt, and this is a cry for whimsy.
We do cry for whimsy all the time. Thank you.
We need it.
More whimsy.